All right. Hey, Matt, welcome and thanks for joining today.
Hey, Bobby. You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to chat with you because I've kind of followed you on Twitter here for the last couple of years, and I've enjoyed some of your reports, and just I feel like you've done a good job discussing how Lightning has been used. And if you want to maybe just kick it off, share a little bit about your background, how you came into building your project, and just what really attracted you to Lightning, and we'll start from there.
Sure. Yeah, longtime Bitcoiner, been around since 2014. Been obsessed with it. I started my journey kind of researching peer-to-peer market trading. I used to have a website called usefultulips.org, which analyzed trading data on some peer-to-peer platforms, local Bitcoins, and Paxful. And so I would study the utility usage of Bitcoin in developing countries mostly. Uh, After that, I moved to Bitrefill for a few years. I'm still with them on a part-time basis. But yeah, Bitrefill is a company where you can one of the very first companies to adopt Lightning. It's a place where you can bring your crypto and buy gift cards uh, very quickly and efficiently. Um, so since then, about a year ago, I went from full time to part time at Bitrefill with the goal that I wanted to build something of my own. Um, I had a few ideas in my head that I wanted to, bring into the world. So for the last year, I've kind of iterated through those ideas, and I finally landed on this AI chatbot. Um, so yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I am excited about it. I think it's very promising, and I think Lightning is a good fit for it. And I'm sure we can get into all the reasons for why that is over the course of the call.
Awesome. Well, yeah, so one thing I've been personally really interested in, and I know it is very early, is these, like how you've kind of labeled it with your product pay per queue, the pay per query model. Because for those maybe not privy to this, who are here trying to learn a little bit about this, one thing about ChatGPT, for instance, is you may pay $20 a month as an individual user. Businesses may use a lot more compute, and they might pay 40,000 a month. And if your account gets hacked and they use a ton of your compute before you can shut down the hacker, there's a lot of capital that's due. And whether you pay it or not, someone is taking the short end of the stick, the business or the individual. So that's a business case. But for as individuals, imagine, say you're traveling on the road a lot and you're paying 60 a month for all your subscription services like Netflix and all of these. Imagine if you could only pay for what you use, kind of like what we see in the value for value model, but with a set price where you only pay for what you actually consume. That's really entertaining and it's exciting to think about, because one thing that's happening in the world right now is as Bitcoiners, we talk about the money printer, the cost of goods going up, inflation. There's going to be a good user experience that can be had by folks that where you can just pay for what you use, like per your point, like pay per query. And it's going to not only make it easier, I think, on consumers and reduce risk for businesses, but it seems like a really good loss leader in a sense of if you have a startup or a product and you want someone to play with it, beyond a 7-day demo or just for a day and pay like $1 to test it, and they don't want to maybe give up an email, for instance. It allows people to use your product. But this is just how I'm thinking about it. I would love to hear, specifically how and why you built pay per queue, and like how you envision maybe the future of monetizing products like this.
Yeah, so I mean, you hit the nail on the head with a couple points. The idea that I came across, which it's not, it has been done before to some degree, but yeah, it's when I started building this in November, I really liked the Albi web wallet, getalbi.com. It's a wallet that it lives in your browser extension, and as you go from website to website across the internet, the theory is, or the dream is that in the future we'll, as we hop from website to website, as we consume content, as we consume services, etc., we will be firing off little micro payments. That was my original goal when I built pay per queue. I wanted literally every single query to be gravitated by a Lightning payment. Um, that actually uh, that is happening to some degree on pay per queue, but there are problems with doing it on every single payment, um, which we can get into those weeds a little later. But um, yeah, in summary, I do think that subscriptions are um, a huge problem, and they're becoming. It's not just $60. I think I'm blowing like $120 a month on subscriptions. And I think the whole business model behind subscriptions is that, um, you know, part of the business model is they want you to forget that you have the subscription. And that's not really like, efficient capital allocation if part of their intention is just to make you forget or forget to remind you that your subscription renewal is coming up. Um, so yeah, OpenAI and these other AI projects, they actually do have, so they have a subscription model for individual users, $20 a month, which you talked about. They also do allow you to sign up for uh, access to their API, and you can pay on a per query basis. They don't advertise it that much because I think they prefer people go with the subscriptions. But you still have to connect a credit card. You're still, when you connect a credit card, you're exposing your data to them, hoping that they take care of it for you. I think just last week, AT&T like leaked 80 some million user credentials onto the web. Um, and there is that friction of linking your credit card to begin with, as you talked about. Like when you want to demo something out, it's like a commitment. Like, do I really want to link my credit card? And these days, every time you link your credit card, there's always some hidden fee trick that they're trying to play on you, where you get the first 7 days free, but you have to link your credit card, so that way if you forget, it's going to charge through. With paper PPQ, you can come to my website, and literally the default invoice is 25 cents, which will buy you, 8 to 10 queries. You don't have to create an account. That's another feature on PPQ, is that you don't have to like have a username and a password that you have to remember. It actually stores, so when you make that first payment, it stores your credit inside of your browser history automatically. Now, there are some imperfections with that, like you might accidentally delete your cookies or something like that. But for the most part, for such small payments, it's actually working. I haven't had anybody complain to me yet about losing their balance or anything like that. And then, yeah, one last thing is that when you make that first payment on PPQ, on the Lightning invoice itself, I'm attaching in the memo your credit ID. So if you ever do accidentally delete it, you can come back to my website, plug it back in, and it should restore your credit. So these things are totally reducing friction for people. And it's actually pretty easy for me to get people to try my bot out. The big hurdle is, do they know what Lightning is? Do they have it already? Do they already have a Lightning wallet? That's the big burden that I have. So
Cool. Very interesting. Yeah. Now, as far as those who have used it thus far and have tested with it, what has been the general response of PPQ versus, let's say, a standard Chat GPT experience? Any feedback from users yet?
yeah, the feedback is it's actually for ChatGPT 4, which is like my core thing right now. It's working really well. Um, the feedback that I get is, when are these other features coming? When am I going to have image generation? When am I going to have like document upload? Uh, I don't have when am I going to be able to like drag and drop an image into ChatGPT and have it interpret what the image is? Those extra features that come with a ChatGPT subscription are what is currently missing. But once I get those things online, um, I think it's a really smooth experience. And I have a lot of repeat customers already who are coming back to me like, almost every day, running a few queries here and there. Oftentimes they'll come back and they won't even run a query. They'll just check on the notes from the previous queries that they had. So it's getting used, and yeah, I'm really excited for the future. I just wish I could, build faster to get it up to that like level that a subscription user has.
That's awesome. Very cool. And as far as like, I'm curious, like where, and forgive me for like jumping ahead because I know it's at like it's in an MVP mode right now, and you are working to advance it. But products like this, do you believe that it will be capable of being like interjected into other experiences? Because one thing I notice is I've used AIs that are in certain platforms, and whenever folks do that, what happens is it moves your bill up substantially. But I would love for like all of these services, that we subscribe to, as running a business, from a marketing department, there's like, let's say 7 tools I use, and 3 of them have AI entered into it. A lot of the pricing has gone up in the last few months. And do you think this will become a thing in the future where a product like this would be interjected within another product, where it creates competitive advantages for these martech products, if you will, where instead of marking the price up, it's like, hey, just pay per use, and we keep our price lower, therefore we're more competitive in the marketplace. Like, it's a pretty far out thought, but I know it is a race to the bottom in terms of cost. I feel like. Do you think things like that or would be coming in the future?
So I don't know if I 100% understood what you said, but let me try to put it a way that I understand it. And when you go to a lot of these AI websites right now, they seem to want to package a bunch of different features all in one, and then they try to get you on that subscription model once they've bundled enough things together. Um, there's a good example. It's called Suno.ai. It's a website where you can like type in a sentence and it'll make a song for you. It's awesome. It's amazing. I've used it for like really funny things several times already. But am I really going, as a retail end user, am I really going to pay a subscription for this type of novelty use case for me? I'm probably not going to. And so that starts to narrow their potential like customer base. And if you go to their website, yeah, they're totally gearing towards commercial usage where like, sign up for our subscription and you can make 2,000 songs a week and yada, yada, yada. And it's like, well, no, only businesses want to make 2,000 songs a week. Like they're basically unable to cater this to retail users because there's no great micropayment model out there. Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, etc. They all have like pretty high fixed fees for low payments. Um, and so the model of like, I want to go to this website and just use it for this. I just want it to make songs for me and nothing else fancy. It doesn't have to be bundled in with everything else. Um, that is what really excites me about this stuff. It makes it so that the Suno, they're probably going to get bought out by some other larger AI company that bundles a bunch of crap together. And it's because the payment system right now doesn't really work for like gearing this towards end users. But with something like Lightning, where it is capital efficient with low fees, et cetera, to do these super small payments, you can hop around from one AI website or just any service in general on the internet and pay micropayments, which is really cool and exciting to me.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for distilling it that way. That's a good way to put it, because yeah, I was thinking more so of these products I have a subscription to currently. Then they're like, we have a new feature, there's AI, and then the price goes up. I don't necessarily want to use it, but I might dabble in it. But the way you articulated it, I think, is more applicable to every type of product. And yeah, I've played with it as well. I was showing it to my son. We wrote a song about I wrote a song about dinosaurs taking over planet Earth and overthrowing the government, and it killed it. Like the song was great. It
Yeah.
was so funny. But
Yes.
yeah, it was a delight to use, but I'm not going to subscribe to it. So, but if they were like, hey,
Yeah.
drop some sats, every time I saw a friend, I'd probably be like, hey, you want to check this out? Look how silly we are. And I would use it like in every conversation. So you raise a really, really good point there.
Yeah. Another thing I want to bring up is I'm spilling the beans on another really cool idea that I have, and it totally is about the pay per use model. Is I've been thinking about all the subscriptions that I have that I hate. Which ones could I kill first? And the next one after AI would be a VPN. So I pay $13 for my VPN subscription every month. Um, and there's a website right now. It's called LNVPN. You can check it out. You can buy on per use VPN. I think you can buy them in chunks as small as 10 minutes. So you go to the website, you pick your country, you click on 10 minutes, 30 minutes, or 60 minutes, and it'll charge you like 10 cents, I think, for 10 minutes in whatever country you want. Then you take that and they give you this like file that you have to plug into this open source piece of software called WireGuard. Um, that whole part of plugging in the file into your WireGuard that you have to independently download yourself is super cumbersome and clunky. Um, but imagine if you could get make a browser extension that had all of that clunkiness built into it, right? And it's gonna so anytime you go to your browser extension, just like I have my regular VPN subscription browser extension, you click the country you want to go to and you click the power on button. Every time you click that on button, imagine a lightning payment firing in the background. And imagine it firing from your Albi wallet that you already have. And the other beautiful thing about it is you can set up Albi and a lot of these other Lightning wallets to do backgrounds payments now, where when you click on that turn the VPN on button, if you've given it like a predefined budget, which you would do when you originally set it up, it's not even going to prompt you for a payment. It's not going to say like, are you ready to pay 10 cents? Yes, click confirm. Not going to do any of that, which is awesome. So the payments are streaming in the background. I think that's a really cool app idea, which I would love to also build. And a lot of these other subscription ideas, you're fighting forces that are really hard to overcome. Like if you wanted to build a pay per watch Netflix, you have to go out and get like, you know, copyright agreements with all these big media companies and stuff. That's just not going to happen. But with the VPN, you could totally like build out a VPN service and put it on pay per use, and suddenly you're the only pay per use VPN mostly in the world, and you're competing with all these subscription VPN models that everyone else has. Obviously, there's going to be a huge market there. I myself, I use a VPN 4 or 5 times a month. That's it. So I wish I wasn't paying, $12. I know they get cheaper. If you're smart, you can get like a $3 a month VPN or whatever. But uh, if I'm paying like, let's say $9 is the average American VPN. If I'm paying $9 and I'm only using that 4 or 5 times a month, but I have to use it those 4 or 5 times for business reasons or whatever. Um, uh, I would be willing to pay $5, and that's only like 50 minutes. Let's say in a grand total of a month, I use 1 hour of VPN time. I would be willing to pay $5 for that, and you could have a really nice margin on a pay per use VPN, I would think, because a lot of your users are just kind of like, they don't mind if they're spending 25 cents for like 30 minutes of use. That's expensive in one way, but it's also very cheap in other ways if you don't use it very often. So yeah, that's my other idea that I would love to bring into the world.
I love that. That's cool. Yeah, my dream long term, as like someone who enjoys making content, is I've made a family video once at home with the kids, right? And then I tried to overlay a song, and YouTube was like, "You can't use this." And I was just like, I would love to be able to like pay like $2, and I get to have like 500 views or whatever, and then I can use the song, let the artist get paid versus saying, "Hey, artist, they're just not going to use it because they don't have a way to monetize it or they're not going to buy rights." It's like I'm a nobody in the grand scheme. I'm not going to go get 10 million views on their song and leverage it for like my own growth, but to pay them or to allow them to like take my earnings online in real time, kind of like value for value does. Like I think that will come one day, but these unique use cases you speak about are definitely gonna happen, I believe, and are very interesting. And I guess I know we're getting close to the 30-minute mark here. I wanted to ask in the some of the final parts here. I know you've used voltage for building this, and I would love to hear like how voltage has maybe helped just in the process of building it and any value you found from it.
Yeah, so I'm 38 years old. I didn't start coding until my early 30s. So I'm not a super coder, shadowy super coder by any means. So for me, voltage was Lightning for dumb developers, which is me. I don't think I would have gotten to the finish line unless I had something that simplified a lot of the things that Voltage simplifies for me. So that what is the big value that it has brought to me. The other big value, which is kind of similar, is that anytime I have had issues, I go to the Discord and I ask a question, and usually, like within 10 minutes, somebody, Nate usually, uh, answers my question or gets started on answering it, which is really helpful. It's so frustrating when you're working on something, developing something, and you get stuck, and then you put in a ticket, and then you have to wait till tomorrow for somebody to get back to you. So shout out to that really awesome customer service, which has again got me a lot further than I otherwise would have. So that's my feedback on Voltage. It is still a little rough around the edges, but I think it's like surprisingly polished for um, how early we still are in all these things. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Awesome. Well, anything else you would like to share? I mean, if you want to demo the product or share anything else you're working on, or like any topics you'd like to touch on, the floor is yours.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I can try to demo it. Let's see here if I can share the screen.
Yeah, there we
Uh,
go.
so first, I will delete the browser history so we come in like a new user. You can see my screen.
Yeah.
All right. So you come to the website for the first time. It gives you this prompt. It says, "Is this your first time here?" How it works: submit a question, buy some credits, receive answers. You click OK. You type in a question. And it gives you two options. So first, you can either just pay this invoice for 25 cents. You can also adjust it up or down. So if you do $1, it'll make $1 invoice for you. Or you can stream payments via a connected wallet. Right now, I just have Albi as the only option. There are other wallets out there that are capable of this. But in the meantime, I just have Albi. And what it would do if I went the Albi route, it would basically every time it would deposit 25 cents credit, and then every time it runs low, it would deposit another 25 cents. But for now, we'll just do the lump sum deposit. So you copy the invoice. I'll pay the invoice. I'm using my Albi extension to do this, but I could use any Lightning wallet. So it cleared, the payment cleared. It gives you a note. It says, your credit ID has been saved in your local storage. Don't delete it or it's going to be lost. And it's answering the question for me. That's pretty much as simple as it is. The cool parts about this is I used an open source repo for a lot of this. So it has a lot of nice polished features that you would come to expect from ChatGPT. So it has your conversation history. It has a search, so you can search through your conversations and find keywords. It has folders. It has prompts. You can give it prompts over here, so you can create a prompt that says shorten, and then you can say make my responses 50% shorter on average. And then every question I ask from now on, when I use that shorten prompt, it will stick that in there, and then it'll make the responses shorter. So just for example, I'm typing in another query here, and it automatically answered. If you go to the account info, it's showing you your history of queries. So I've had 2 queries. This is the price. The price differs each time because you have a different number of inputs and outputs, which that's how OpenAI charges you. So if you have a really long answer, it's going to be more expensive than if you have a really short answer. And then lastly, it has this context feature. So the way AI works is it remembers your whole conversation all at once. And so as you make longer and longer conversations, the price actually goes up per query. But you can set the context to make it remember more or less conversation tokens. And so that's a way for you to either like save money, so it doesn't remember infinitely back in history, or if you do need it to remember infinitely back in history, like if you're pasting in a long book or something and you want it to have all of that context, you can set it upwards. That's pretty much it. And the big thing is every time you come back, um, it's going to have your conversation stored for reference. It's going to have your uh, account history stored. And whenever you run out of money, you can just make another deposit and go on with your life. And it's that's as simple as it is. So
Well, that's awesome. Well, good work, man. This is very cool to see, and I'm excited that we were able to let folks see what's possible with Lightning, and not only that, the impact that it's having on products like ChatGPT. But before we go, is there anything else you'd like to share? Maybe just let folks know like the best way to connect with you if they would like to chat further.
sure. Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Matt Ahlborg. I'm sure my name is spelled somewhere here. You can also just go to ppq.ai and it click on the feedback or support section. I have a Telegram. I have you can reach out to me via email. There's many more features coming. I think early next week I'm going to be adding the Anthropic Claude models, so users will be able to try that out. That's another advantage of like the pay per use model is you don't have to connect your credit card to multiple companies now. You can just come to my website and not connect your credit card at all, but you're still accessing models from many different companies. So yeah, I'm going to keep adding things and iterating. And I think this is a really cool product, and it's going to hopefully get bigger and bigger. So,
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for making some time to chat with us today. I appreciate it.
and great meeting you, Bobby. I hope I see you around.
All right. Thanks.